When I bought this wine at auction, someone messaged me 5 minutes after we found out we were the lucky winner and said, "You motherfucker." So I think we've got a pretty good deal and a pretty good couple of bottles in front of us. Welcome back to Got Somme, a wine podcast started with an apprentice and a master sommelier. Carlos Santos sits before me. What are we drinking today?
So today we are drinking Diamond Creek wines, Red Rock Terrace and the Volcanic Hill from the 1995 and 1996 vintages.
Ooh.
Some Napa Cabernet. It becomes way more harder to blind taste. With a lot of age, you could confuse it sometimes with Sangiovese, with Nebbiolo, Burgundy, 30, 35 years. Everything becomes so similar.
30-year-old Napa Cabernet. Not a bad Wednesday night. And can we get a yell from the crowd? Hello. Hey. We've got some guests in here as well. If you follow us at Got Somme online, every single recording we're going to offer it up to a couple of people. Dean and Alistair are in the studio together, and we're very lucky to have them here. They're also trying the wines with us. So Napa Valley, Carlos, I think I've had some interesting wines from there in the past, but it's more famous for Cabernet, is that right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Syrah, Sauvignon Blanc is very, very typical as well. Zinfandel, which once thought that the homeland was California, but is actually Croatia. But yeah, I mean, look, it's California is pretty big per se. I think the most important Cabernet Sauvignon will come from Napa, which is where these wines come from. Napa, Sonoma. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, if you think about California as a generic AVA, is huge, and then it splits in several smaller areas. Okay, far north, north coast, central coast, southern California. Inland valleys and Sierra foothills. So there's so much wine on these areas. Of course, there's the bulk area as well, bulk production, where Gallo and stuff like this come from, and that is millions and millions and millions of bottles, right? And then, when it comes to the high quality, the very, very good stuff, we are in the North Coast or Central Coast. Central Coast now with more great Pinot Noir, a little bit cooler, a little bit further south. Santa Barbara, Saint-Inés, places like this. Very, very, great upcoming wines there. But yeah, North Coast, we have Napa, we have Sonoma, we have Solano, we have Marin. So those are, again, more generic appellations. For instance, when it comes down to where this wine comes from, it's an agglomerate of 17 or so AVAs, and AVA is an American viticultural area. That is Napa Valley in this case. So, but then, yes, Napa Valley has 17 smaller AVAs. And to break it down a little bit further, Napa is, kind of separated by mountain AVAs and valley floor AVAs. I know it's a lot of information, but this...
When you said, can I break it down further? I was like, how further can we get?
It can go so much more, actually.
Yeah, right.
But
number 66 on Vine Street, Peter lives there. Now, he's AVA.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, they keep coming up. Actually, funny enough, you say that, because there's the newest AVA that I actually just learned recently was in November last year, so November 2024, which is Crystal Springs. But that became the 17th. And then, so the mountain AVAs, something like Diamond Mountain, Spring Mountain, Howell Mountain, Mount Veeder, Atlas Peak, all those are like, higher altitude and mountain AVAs. And then the valley floor, very, very important ones, stuff like St. Helena, Rutherford, Oakville, Stag's Leap being a very, very important one as well. At some point we will talk about the 1976 Paris judgment when the Californian wines beat the top French, okay? So look, this one, it's from Diamond Mountain, so a top wine, top producer, dating back to 1968. But yeah, I think I did enough talking for now. Maybe we should...
Good luck to Amelia putting all the references to that on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at the map, and when we see even the position of Napa Valley, so closer to the coast, we have Sonoma. That then is split by a mountain range called the Mayacama Mountains, and then we have Napa, and then we have Vaca Mountains, and then we have the inland areas.
So Diamond Creek is the producer of the wine that we're drinking today, and we've got a 95 and a 96, but because of all of the altitudes,
Yeah.
your sort of references in the mountains. Does that mean we're going to have or Volcanic Hill as a higher altitude wine, and then we're going to have the Red Rock Terrace as a lower?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, they
After all that?
After all that, no, not necessarily. I mean, it could have been, but they are both on the mountain. They are both in the mountain. So the property is called the Diamond Creek because of exactly the little creek, the little lake that they have in the property. That splits actually as a beautiful map actually in the website. That splits in like 2 or 3 small little lakes. And the vineyards are positioned around this state. So the Red Rock Terrace is actually overlooked by the property, so not too far low. Tends to be a little bit more approachable, and he has that iron-rich soils. So typically more approachable at the younger age. While Volcanic Hill, it's a more age-worthy wine. It's a bit more richer, a bit more intense, a bit more tannic. Slightly more powerful, yeah. So should be richer at every level.
So on our left-hand side, and of course the Riedel Cabernet glass, big shout out to Riedel. We have decanted these in Riedel decanters as well. What have we got on the left?
So on the left, we have the Volcanic Hill, 1995.
And it says 8 acres at the back. So that
8
means,
acres, yeah, so 3.2 hectares.
And then, so for
3.2
Red Rock
hectares.
Terrace is 7 acres, so a little bit
Yeah,
less.
2.8, I think
yield.
it is.
Nice. On the nose.
Yeah, on the nose, look, a little bit of that mocha, tobacco, dark fruits. I mean, it is definitely developed. There's only tertiary aromas. There's nothing really vibrant, juicy, fruity.
Well, 30 years, yeah. I was going to say I have tasted it. You're right. It's not very fruity. I'd like a little bit more fruit, so I wonder if like 5 years ago it would have been drinking a little bit better. For me, personal
But
taste.
palate is actually... Palate is quite nice. It's soft, quite fine-grained tannin, quite elegant and silky. I don't think it will, last another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It's a good bottle. I don't think it's incredibly amazing, but I think it's a good bottle.
And what are we going to compare it to with the 96? So what, apart from the fact we're talking about 2 different acre plots, what else should we be looking for?
On the Volcanic Hill, typically, yeah, as I said, a little bit more age-worthy volcanic soils. So I find a bit more, as I said, tannic, a little bit more rusticity as well, a little bit more powerful. Yeah, and again, mushroomy, earthy, I think a well-developed wine.
Let's say we've got a 1995 Bordeaux. Let's say we've got a 1995 Australian Cabernet in there as well.
Yeah.
How are you differentiate? What's the differences we can expect on aged Cabernet just through different climates and countries?
That's a good point. I mean, look, if we were to compare the regions, Cabernet in Australia, very, 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 I mean, Margaret River, for example, probably I would consider it closer to Bordeaux than, for example, South Australian Cabernet. If we are in Coonawarra, for example, there's that typicity of eucalyptus, like that sense of menthol freshness in the Cabernet. That is so distinctively Australian. With Margaret River, I compare it more to Bordeaux, and there are some great examples. In a wine with age, at 30 years, it becomes really, really hard to distinguish.
That was actually my sort of point.
Yeah.
Is it easier when blind tasting or assessing wines professionally that younger fruit and younger wines are much more easy
definitely,
to pick
definitely.
where they're from, time and place?
100%. Like with a lot of age, the color starts becoming more brick color. And, you could confuse it sometimes with Sangiovese, with Nebbiolo, Burgundy. Of course, Burgundy will have a lot softer tones, a lot lighter color. But then again, with a lot of age, 30, 35 years, everything becomes so similar. It becomes way more harder to blind taste. You ask about Australia, you ask about California. You ask about California.
How do you pour this? Is this right?
Yeah. California, and what was the other region?
France, Australia, California.
Yes, Bordeaux. Yeah, well, Bordeaux and California probably quite close as well. I mean, depends where you are on Napa Valley as well. For example, if we are in northernmost California or Napa Valley, Calistoga is very, very hot. It's biggest, the richest Napa wines. I would say probably a little bit less elegant. If you are in the very, very south, like Carneros, is actually really, really cold. And they grow a little bit of Pinot Noir, Chardonnay. They make sparkling wines. That's actually where Moët Chandon and Tétanger and producers like this make sparkling wine, not champagne, sparkling wine. And then within the Napa Valley, I mean, comparable to Bordeaux, there's all those appellations that I've mentioned before. Valley floors probably more so. With the mountain AVAs, you have higher acidity, but also more exposure. So acidity tends to be great, but concentrated, rich wines as well. So yeah, interesting.
What's Napa Valley? Give me some Master Somm fave wines from the region. Obviously, we've got Diamond Creek today, but what have you drank along your journey that's killer bottles?
I always remember Joseph Phelps. Always remember wines like Opus One. That's a super classic. Opus One.
Yeah, of course.
From Robert Mondavi. And then, Silver Oak. I love those wines. Yeah, there's tons of producers. Yeah.
Where do you rank Cabernet from Napa Valley on your list?
Oh, I think, and there's the proof of that with the Paris judgments of 1976, and then in 2006, I think it was, they redo the wine tasting with similar wines, and guess what? The American wines came on top again.
Did they do it again? I didn't know that.
It's if you go on to do blind tastings with those wines with good bottles, they are extremely good. So they're absolutely outstanding. Yeah.
Alistair has asked a great question. Alistair, I hate to abbreviate you. Tell me if I've gone wrong here. Alistair is asking, is the comparison in prices in Australia between our entry level and our top wines like Grange the same in America? Because obviously we pay more for it being an international wine. So does that sort of discrepancy live? And does some of that cost come into the fact that Napa is such an expensive postcard? So to have your own postage stamp or piece of land there, does that affect the cost of wine?
Just like in Australia, yes, you are right. You have the Penfolds and you have the higher levels of, you have the Grange and you have the higher levels of Penfolds, 707s and et cetera. The Langton's top classified wines, which are super premium. Hill of Grace, Mount Edelstone, et cetera. Bass Phillip, Premium, Reserve, etc. So, but then there's also a huge production, in appellations that produce those type of wines, the Yellowtail and the Jacob's Creek and all that. So I think if we were to put that in California terms, it's the same. We have the super premium stuff like Opus One and the Joseph Phelps and the Silver Oaks and that I've mentioned earlier. But then we also have the Gallos and that one. That's the one that comes to memory now. The Gallo, which produce so much stuff. So, and then there's everything in between. So much American stuff, so good. But then again, I think what's brought over is the super premium stuff. There's not really the middle range, I think the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, the low hundreds bottles of wine. Everything that we see in here, it's super premium stuff, I feel. But then, yes, I think there's everything in between. So I think the super premium lands would be Napa, Sonoma, etc. But then, yes, inland valleys and Sierra foothills and stuff like that. I think it's probably really cheap land, mass production. I think just like us in Australia, I think it's quite comparable from that perspective.
Have you been in Napa Valley?
No, I have not. No.
Oh wow,
I have not.
Did it come up in any of your exam questionnaires?
It always comes something about when it comes to studying California or studying US wine has become so important. Also because, for example, the Master Sommeliers exam are held in the US, they are held in UK, they are held in Austria, and it's such an important part of the world for wine, for sure. France, Italy, then probably California, Spain, classic, Argentina, Chile, a little bit more recently, but California or US per se, it's huge for sure.
On the next episode of Got Somme, ChatGPT is taking on a master sommelier. What is Carlos's tasting notes on a bottle versus AI, and who comes out on top? We'll find out then. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're listening. Please follow, and all the links are in the show notes below.